Good morning. Welcome to 7 Billion Geniuses. You are a genius. That's what I believe. I believe that because you have to be a genius. I'm doing this video for a couple of reasons. And I want to make some promises to you. I promise that I'll never ask you to do something I don't do myself, and that I'll always tell the truth, which brings me to this issue. I thought about doing this a long time ago, but ultimately I'm doing it because I need to build a large enough community to get my book published. In order to get a book published these days, you have to really have a following. You have to have people who will buy your book. I'm hoping that you will get excited enough about these ideas to buy my book. But more importantly, I'm going to share many of the ideas on these videos anyhow, so you don't need to buy my book. But there's a lot more detail about the ideas, about 7 Billion Geniuses, and about how to remember your genius and where to look to see it. I say remember because you already know. I say where to look to see it because that's the issue. You've been indoctrinated into a way of thinking that keeps you from looking in the right places. We look in certain directions. We have certain ideas about who's special and who's smart and who's capable and who's happy and who's not. And this project is to challenge those ideas and to remind you that everything you need to know to have the life you want to have, you really kind of already know. It's just a question of being able to see it. I wanted to start this whole process with one example of how this works. And it's particularly poignant, I believe, right now as we're moving into the election, the 2016 election. Fear has been a primary tactic that's been used to get us distracted and not paying attention to the fundamental thing that I think is really the most important thing. And it comes back to the fact that what really matters in this country isn't one person who's supposed to lead us. It's us. The power lies within us, always. But fear can be a great way to keep us from seeing that. But this is the issue. So, fundamental process, a fundamental idea in this whole process is the notion of the absent but implicit, which I learned from a guy named Michael White, who was one of the founders of a thing called narrative therapy, and you can look him up online if you want to. But it's the idea that every single thing that happens and our response to it is fundamentally emblematic of what matters to us, of who we are, what we stand for. And so the fear that you experience is emblematic of what matters to you. It's emblematic of what's important to you. It's emblematic of what you stand for. The things that you're afraid of are different than the things that I'm afraid of. Even though we might say we're both afraid of clowns, we're afraid of clowns for different reasons. It's because the sense of the threat that clown might pose to me would be different than you, because the things that matter to you and what you stand for is different than what matters to me and what I stand for. And by each of us expressing those things, our expressing of what matters to us and what we stand for, we start to express our genius and we start to settle into our genius. So really, and I'll say this over and over again, our genius is manifest in every choice that we make. Everything that we do is a manifestation of our genius, but we're really distracted from seeing that because we're encouraged to see genius in certain ways. An amazing painting, an amazing writing, an amazing movie, an amazing who knows what. That's supposed to be what genius looks like, but it's not. It's about the choices that we make. It's about the things that we stand for. It's about why we do what we do, really, moment to moment, day to day. I'll talk a lot about coming back to be in the moments that we're in, because really that's another way for us to start to see our genius. But let's start with this time, just this one thing. What I ask you to do today and maybe for the week is to pay attention to what you're concerned about. Pay attention to what you're afraid of. Pay attention to what you're worried about, because what you're worried about is different for all of us. What you're worried about is what you're worried about because of what matters to you and what you stand for. So when you pay attention to that, you can start to settle into your own genius. You can start to settle into your uniqueness, your you-ness. I was going to say. That is, in fact, an expression of your uniqueness and your genius. And another thing that I'll say over and over again in these videos is how important it is for you to live that genius, because that's your contribution. That's the contribution that you make to making this world a better place. And if that's something that you want to do, that's a way to do it. So when you're thinking about what you're afraid of, when you're thinking about what you're worried of, realize, settle into how. That's an expression of what matters to you. Again, it's very specific in my book how you find out about this. And if you want to look at my book, get in touch with me. There's going to be information underneath this video about how you can get in touch with me. I will send you a copy of my book if you want to go through the process. How you can start to see your genius. How you can start to remember where to look to see your genius. I post reflection every day on Facebook and also on my blog. There'll be a way to get to that also posted under the video. So follow along, subscribe to my videos, please, and follow me on Facebook if you want to do that. You can do that as well. But stay tuned, because I'm going to continue to present these ideas. Again, these aren't my ideas. These are ideas that come from other people, but I'm presenting them here in the hopes that we can start to create a world that's the kind of world that we all want to live in, because it uniquely reflects everything about all of who we are in this great 7 billion wide populace that covers the face of this planet. There's so much amazingness there that's even yet to be explored, yet to be uncovered, yet to be recognized. Come along with me and we can do this together. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next week.